Welcome to the Foxglove universe, where Signa Farrow is still trying to keep her life together, which is hilarious because absolutely nothing in her life is designed for stability. Belladonna ended with a murder, a kiss, and a whole lot of unresolved supernatural boyfriend drama. So, of course, Foxglove opens by immediately making everything 10 times worse. Before we continue with the story, making our videos takes plenty of caffeine, chaos, and too many snacks, but we love every moment of it. If you enjoy our unhinged humor and dramatic recaps, please like, subscribe, and comment. It helps us keep creating more ridiculous, story-driven chaos and tells YouTube we exist. Stick around, join the madness, and help this little corner of the internet grow. Now, back to the story! First disaster. Lord Wakefield drops dead and the entire world decides to blame Signa's uncle. Because, obviously, if anything goes wrong on this estate, the universe simply picks the nearest Hawthorne and says, yeah, that one, arrest him. Wakefield was trying to buy Grace, and apparently that's enough motive to scream poison in a crowded ballroom. So now Uncle Hawthorne is thrown into prison, Blythe is frantic, and Signa has exactly 0 seconds to breathe. Enter Fate. Yes, Fate, the walking golden god with main character hair and toxic ex-husband energy. He shows up and immediately decides that Signa is the reincarnation of his dead wife. Life. Because... why not? Apparently, Fate and Death had a cosmic marriage drama centuries ago involving betrayal, jealousy, and the small detail that Death accidentally killed Life. Fate begged him not to. Death said, no. The plague happened, Life died anyway, and Fate has been holding a grudge ever since. So yes, the universe's biggest enemies are two immortal men fighting over the same woman again. Naturally, Fate decides to fix his trauma by cursing Death's touch, which now makes Signa violently ill. Not symbolic, literally makes her sick. As if that's not dramatic enough, Fate also blocks her ability to see or hear Death, which is basically emotional torture for her, but Fate calls it fair competition. While Signa is trying to figure out whether she's Life reincarnated or just Fate's cosmic hallucination, Blythe starts spiraling. She's having visions, seeing corpses where her mates should be, and trying to figure out how to charm Fate so he'll release her father. Spoiler, Fate doesn't fall for it, mostly because Fate is the one who framed her father to begin with. Lovely man. So now we have a framed uncle, a cursed Death, a delusional Fate, a traumatized Blythe, and Signa stuck between two immortal ego boys fighting over her soul. Yeah, welcome to Foxglove. It only gets worse from here. So, now that Fate has crashed into Signa's life like a glittering cosmic homewrecker, things get even more chaotic. Not content with cursing Death and emotionally tormenting Signa, Fate decides he's going to pretend to be a prince because, obviously, when you're an immortal embodiment of destiny, the next logical step is to cosplay royalty to manipulate a teenage girl's social standing. Perfectly normal behavior. And who falls for this act? Blythe. Sweet, traumatized, trying her best Blythe, who decides the smartest way to save her father from being hanged for Wakefield's murder is to charm Fate into liking her. This is already a terrible plan, but Blythe commits to it with the unwavering confidence of someone who has never had a plan work out in her life. Unfortunately for her, Fate is only pretending to be charming. He's actually the one who framed her father. That's right. The man she's trying to seduce for political leverage is the same man who destroyed her family, peak villain behavior. Meanwhile, Blythe starts having issues. Vision issues. Seeing the maid as a decomposing corpse issues. Turns out nearly being poisoned to death has side effects, and none of them are fun. She tries to ignore it, but the world keeps glitching around her like she's stuck in a haunted version of reality. Signa, ever the multitasker, is busy dealing with her pact with Fate. Yes, they make a deal. She agrees to let him court her for a month, yikes. And in exchange, he allows her to see Death after each date. Sounds like a terrible trade, but Signa is desperate, confused, and Fate is playing mind games like it's his full-time job. Signa starts questioning everything. Is she Life reincarnated? Does she have Life's powers? Is her marriage to Fate already written in the stars? Is she cheating on Death with destiny? Meanwhile, Fate is out here kissing Blythe to test drinks for poison, because why use logic when you can make every situation 10 times more intimate than it needs to be? He and Blythe also save a baby fox together because nothing says, I framed your father for murder, like bonding over adorable wildlife. But then comes the emotional nuke. Blythe discovers that Percy didn't leave town, he's dead, and Signa, her friend, her caretaker, her almost sister, is the one who killed him. Blythe doesn't know Percy was poisoning her and her mother. She doesn't have the context, she just has grief, anger, and a terrifying new ability to see the dead. Their fight fractures everything. Signa is forced to admit she's a Reaper. Blythe spirals harder. And Fate? He's watching the chaos unfold like it's premium entertainment. We continue in Foxglove, where Signa Farrow discovers that being fought over by two immortal forces of nature is significantly less glamorous than fanfiction promised. On one side stands death, the brooding shadow she actually loves, and on the other side stands fate, a golden manipulator with the moral compass of a wet sock. And in between, Signa, confused, suffering, thriving, all at once. Let's begin with the fact that death cannot be touched without making Signa sick, thanks to Fate's very mature emotional coping skills. Death is devastated, furious, and absolutely unhinged about it, while Fate is just smirking like the walking embodiment of, I hope he cries. Every time death even gets near her, Signa feels her body weaken. It's cruel, it's painful, and Fate is treating it like a competitive sport. Meanwhile, Signa tries to court Fate. And by court, we mean endure an endless parade of dramatic, glittering, over-the-top dates where Fate tries to convince her she belongs with him because of a cosmic marriage she doesn't even remember. Death, of course, shows up after the dates like the world's most emotionally tortured rebound lover. If heartbreak was an aesthetic, Death would be the poster boy. But the worst part? Signa starts wondering if Fate might be right. She does have powers. She does feel strangely connected to him. She does have visions and instincts that make her question whether life, the woman both Fate and Death once loved, might somehow be tied to her. Imagine the identity crisis. Am I Signa Farrow, or am I the reincarnation of the universe's most dramatic immortal wife? Death is not handling this well, at all. He becomes intense, possessive, soft, and violent at the same time. A paradox only Death could pull off. The moment he breaks free enough for her to see or hear him, he appears like a storm and looks at her like she's the only living thing worth existing for. Fate, of course, notices this and thinks, great, time to escalate. He tries to undermine Death at every turn, twisting truths, dropping hints, whispering poison disguised as logic. And Signa? She's trapped between cosmic obsession and emotional blackmail while also trying to solve a poisoning case and prevent Blythe from mentally collapsing. Then Blythe discovers that she can see ghosts, including terrifying flashes of her maid as a corpse. Thank you, trauma. Fate uses Blythe's vulnerability to push his agenda harder. And Death? He shadows Signa constantly, unable to touch her, breaking a little more each time. So now we have a cursed Reaper boyfriend, a manipulative, immortal ex-husband, a heroine stuck in existential crisis, a best friend seeing corpses, and a murder mystery simmering in the background. This is no longer a love triangle, it's a cosmic custody battle over Signa's soul. Right. The Foxglove Mansion, also known as the place where all of Signa's problems go to get bigger, louder, and significantly more supernatural. After the emotional nuclear fallout with Blythe and the non-stop Fate vs. Death theatrics, Signa returns to her ancestral home. Cute idea, right? Wrong. Foxglove is basically trauma Disneyland. The moment Signa arrives, she discovers that the mansion is full of ghosts, dozens of them. And not your friendly, floating Casper types either. These are the spirits of all the people who died during the same party as Signa's parents, and let's just say they're not thrilled to see her. Instead of welcoming their long-lost Farrow girl, they try to kill her. Amazing hospitality, 5 stars. While Signa dodges murderous ghosts and tries to figure out why the afterlife is acting like a badly coordinated flash mob, Blythe is out here making choices, terrible ones. She's desperate to free her father, who's facing execution for the Wakefield murder, so she decides to offer Fate marriage. Yes, marriage. To a manipulative, immortal being she barely knows. Fate declines, but only because he wants Signa, and because rejecting Blythe gives him maximum drama points. But he does tell Blythe the truth about himself, that he's Fate, that he thinks Signa is life reincarnated, and that death is corrupting her. Classic propaganda. Instead of running away screaming, Blythe decides to team up with him. Because why not? If your life is falling apart, just collaborate with an immortal being who framed your father. Logical. Meanwhile, Signa tries to train her powers, but something isn't adding up. She can't use life's magic consistently. One of the ghosts, who is best friends with Signa's mother, tries to help, giving Signa cryptic advice like every mentor in every fantasy ever, but no matter what she does, Signa can't access those big, shiny goddess tier powers Fate insists she should have. Fate shows up again, shocking, and Signa forces him to promise he won't hurt Blythe. He agrees, mainly because it benefits him. And because Fate is Fate, he immediately demands Signa throw a massive party at Foxglove, which is hilariously insensitive considering the ghosts literally died at the last party held there. Predictably, the ghosts freak out. Panic, trauma, chaos. But with Death's help, Signa guides them into the afterlife, giving them peace instead of pain. It's one of the rare moments where Signa uses her gift beautifully, a reminder that she's powerful, whether she's life or not. Meanwhile, Blythe discovers something shocking. Wakefield's daughter is pregnant with Percy's child. Yes, Percy, the secret poisoner, the disaster brother, the walking red flag factory. Someone has been slipping her tansy, which is slowly killing her. Blythe panics. Signa suspects she may need to use life magic to save her. Except, Signa might not be life, and the universe is about to prove it. We continue to the next part where Foxglove stops pretending to be reasonable and absolutely descends into cosmic chaos. If you thought the love triangle was messy before, oh honey, buckle up. We start with Wakefield's daughter, who is somehow doing worse than everyone else in this book, which is truly impressive. She's pregnant with Percy's child. Yes, that Percy. And someone has been feeding her tansy, a slow, painful poison. Signa suspects she might need life's magic to save her, but her powers only work when they feel like it. Fate is no help, of course. He just stands there being shiny and untrustworthy. Meanwhile, Blythe, heartbroken, terrified, and operating on stress fumes, decides that the only way to save her father from being hanged is to marry Fate. This is objectively the worst plan anyone has ever had, and in a universe where Percy existed, that is saying something. Signa, suffocating under guilt about killing Percy and desperately wanting to save everyone, agrees to marry Fate instead. Not because she wants to, but because she doesn't see any other way Fate is delighted. He loves psychological suffering almost as much as he loves himself. But before she resigns herself to cosmic marriage, Signa spends one last night with Death. The boy, the myth, the existential crisis. They can't touch without Fate's curse making her sick, but the emotional intensity is so overpowering, it practically sets the air on fire. Blythe sees them together and finally realizes Signa and Death aren't just connected, they're in love. Like, deeply, heartbreakingly, doomed in every timeline love. Then, Blythe overhears everything. Percy wasn't a tragic brother, he was a manipulative poisoner who killed their mother and tried to kill her too. Signa didn't betray her. She saved her. Blythe's entire worldview disintegrates like wet paper. Now it's time for the tapestry ritual, the magical marriage ceremony Fate wants to trap Signa with. Death shows up, fully prepared to murder Fate on sight. Signa stops him, because apparently they're trying to avoid cosmic homicide today. Signa steps forward to bleed onto the tapestry, but before she can, Blythe shoves her out of the way, snatches it, and threatens to burn it. Fate can't stop her. He promised Signa he wouldn't hurt Blythe, so Blythe slices her palm, lets her blood fall, and binds herself to Fate. Rings appear. Fate looks like someone just set fire to destiny itself. Silence, shock, chaos, and Signa notices something impossible. Blythe's cut heals instantly, and that's when the truth lands like a cosmic slap. Blythe is life. Not Signa. Everything changes. Welcome to the last part, also known as the ending, where nobody gets what they want except Fate, who absolutely should not be allowed to win anything. At this point, every character is emotionally bruised, magically exhausted, and spiritually dehydrated. After Blythe binds herself to Fate in the tapestry ritual, the entire room freezes. Fate looks like destiny itself just punched him in the face. He wanted Signa. He schemed, manipulated, cursed, lied, posed dramatically in door frames. All for her. And now, he's magically married to Blythe, the girl who wasn't even supposed to be in this triangle. She just rage-slapped her DNA onto a cosmic contract like an icon. And Signa? She's stunned, heartbroken, relieved, guilty, everything at once, because now she knows the truth. Blythe is life reincarnated, not her. That's why life's magic never worked. That's why Signa's powers only flared when Blythe was there. The universe wasn't confused. Signa was. Even Fate doesn't realize it. He still believes Signa is life. Blythe doesn't know she's life. Only Signa sees the whole truth, and she suddenly understands. She was never meant to fill life's shoes. She was meant to find her own path, with Death, not Fate. Meanwhile, Blythe's father is freed from prison at last. Turns out he wasn't the killer, his own brother was. Because why should Fate be the only chaotic man in this story? Wakefield was poisoned to stop Percy's child from being raised outside the Hawthorne family. No moral lessons were learned, just more generational trauma. Then, as if everyone wasn't exhausted enough, Fate drops the final bombshell. He announces his engagement to Blythe, publicly, proudly, dramatically, like a man determined to ruin everyone's week. Blythe, still reeling from discovering Percy was a poisoner and that Signa saved her life, now has to process the fact she's apparently engaged to the incarnate force of destiny, who she kind of hates, kind of pities, and definitely didn't intend to marry. Signa, meanwhile, steps back into the shadows with Death, literally and emotionally. She's devastated by everything that's happened, but Death is there, steady and patient. He doesn't push. He doesn't demand. He just stands beside her, silently promising he's not going anywhere. The stage is set. Blythe is bound to Fate. Fate still wants Signa and has no idea he married the wrong reincarnation. Signa and Death are closer than ever, curse or not. The Hawthorne family is barely hanging on. And the universe? Laughing. Loudly. Foxglove ends not with peace, but with tension. A cosmic cliffhanger leading straight into Wisteria, where things promise to get even messier. Because when your cast includes Death, fate, life, and Signa Farrow. Chaos is the only constant. So, what did you think of Foxglove? A book where death is in love, fate is unhinged, Blythe is accidentally a goddess, and Signa is just trying not to emotionally combust every 5 minutes. Honestly, give the girl a medal, or therapy, or both. If you survive this cosmic love triangle, the poisonings, the ghost riots, the magical marriage gone wrong, and fate's ego, congratulations. You've officially earned your place in the Farrow Hawthorne Trauma Club. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell. You know, the one death rings whenever he shows up to ruin Signa's self-control. And buckle up, because next is Wisteria, where fate gets worse, death gets softer, Signa gets stronger, and Blythe gets, well, married to destiny literally. If you thought the drama was bad now, oh sweetheart, the universe is just getting warmed up. See you in the next one. And remember, never trust the tea, never trust fate. But falling in love with death? Yeah, that one checks out.